So all the goofies out there saying, "Oh, Floyd should have done this, Floyd should have done that." No, the bigger, younger man should have been. And this is why I was frustrated. I think Logan could have stopped him, or certainly dominated the fight. Given Logan's size, them things should never happen. You should never have a man 50 pounds and 7 inches taller. That's what you call just game over. And especially with Logan's athleticism. And there's a reason, yeah, when Floyd was after the fight, someone said, "Oh, Floyd, are you going to fight Jake Paul?" Floyd weren't sounding too keen on that. You know what I'm saying? He felt it in there. Not all of the bits, obviously, because he was marching forward, but he felt certain things in there where he didn't feel comfortable. He reminded me in a way of Rigondeaux. The way that Floyd was buying them feints, yeah, he looked similar to just how Rigondeaux did. He couldn't understand what was going on. I'll tell you what it was. That's what happens when someone's twice the size of you. When you're fighting someone on your eye line, it's night and day. That there's what you call an equal playing field. The minute someone's twice your size, it's hard work. You're running uphill, and they're running downhill. I felt it myself, and my advantage was only an inch or two, and it still felt like I had all week to react. And it still felt like I could see everything from bird's eye view. Never mind 6-7 inches, and to have them kind of advantages and not exploit them. I mean, if Logan Paul didn't have any level of inside fighting. I can't even blame him, to be fair, because guess what? There's professional boxers who've been doing this for 20 years who can't fight on the inside. So I'm not going to blame him, but if he could have done that, Floyd could have been in real trouble. And I think Floyd knows that. Floyd's thinking to himself now, I don't really know. If this kid could have fought on the inside, if Logan Paul had done a camp preparing to fight on the inside. And then what frustrates me the most as well is the fact that Conor McGregor already said this. Conor McGregor said, "Oh, I didn't know Floyd was going to come forward. Next time, I'd have to prepare to fight on the inside." I'm thinking, why aren't you doing that anyway? What do you mean? Since when do we prepare for a fight and not prepare for inside game? You never know when you're going to get stuck on you. These multi-million-dollar trainers make me laugh. "Oh, AB, you're a YouTuber." Well, I'm sorry. Guess what? Any fighter I train, you're going to know. In fact, that's where your bread and butter is built, in my opinion. That's where your bread and butter is built. This whole Klitschko and Mayweather, your jabs, the main thing. No, it ain't the main thing. The main thing is when you're in a tight squeeze, you know how to get it in, because that's what separates the boys from the men. Everyone can jab and run backwards. Look, Logan Paul, a YouTuber, just did it. Who can't do that? Where the men are made is, can you be in range, keep safe, and counter? That's where the money's earned. And that's why Floyd beat McCrappen, because he can't fight on the inside, and that's why Floyd beat Logan, because he can't fight on the inside. And that's why, unfortunately, that's the way many fights go these days. The person who can mix up on the inside best ends up winning. And even then, most fighters these days don't even want to do that. Most fighters these days want to run around scary, Klitschko style. I mean, look at AJ. The old AJ versus Klitschko, what happened there? Again, "Oh, YB, you don't know boxing. YB, you're not better than McCrappen." Oops. What happened, yeah? For the first 4 rounds, AJ was fighting Klitschko, trying to do that long, boring McCrappen crap. What happened there? 50-50 fight. AJ turns it on in the 5th round. Klitschko gets mauled. Yeah? That's what inside does to jab, jab, grab game. Gets chewed up. Jab, jab, grab game's only good when your opponent is small and also can't fight on the inside. Povetkin can't fight on the inside. You never seen Pulev really in on the inside and digging away. Yeah, he'll jump him with a big left hook, but yeah, it's not inside fighting. I've never seen Povetkin in the pocket, kind of leaning and rolling and banging away. I've never really seen that. I've never seen him working on the inside. If you want to know a good example, watch Spence versus Porter. Watch, in fact, better than that, my favourite, Josh Taylor versus Prograis. That's an inside fighting fight. That's the pinnacle of inside fighting these days. Fighters don't want to do that no more. They want to run around for the last 4 rounds and be scary. And if Logan had done that, he'd have won, I reckon. I mean, if you're going to be training anyway, I don't know what these cats are doing. If you're going to be training anyway, day in, day out, why are you not exploiting the biggest hole in the game of boxing right now? What are these things? These guys go into camps, $1 million camps, and leave the camp not knowing how to fight on the inside a lick. Logan Paul couldn't fight on the inside a lick. I didn't see him turn over one inside shot. He was slapping away, slapping on the guard. There was no skill there. He was anti-skilled, to be fair. He looked like an amateur. And it's not about the YouTube thing. Because once you've been training for 3 years, day in, day out, I expect you to look sharp. Because I know what I'd be doing with you. I'm telling you now, anyone gives me 3 years of $1 million training, I just can't see how I ain't gonna go the right way. I really don't. I hate to break it to you, I just don't see it. If we're training 4 or 5 hours a day for 3 years, I don't know how people don't expect you to look good. Like, Logan looked bad, in my opinion, as you've heard. Logan looked bad. That level of discipline in training. But it comes down to these level of trainers. It's not really the fighter's fault. Same as AJ. The reason AJ hasn't improved, because you can train 6 hours a day for 30 years. Does that make sense? If you've got a trainer who has no clue what he's doing, you can train for 1,000,000 years. What's 1,000,000 times 0? 0. If your trainer knows nothing, you can train for 20, innit? For example, let's be dramatic. Let's say you've got a monkey training you, yeah? If you've got a monkey training you, how many years would you have to train for to get good? Well, you know what I'm saying? If you've got not getting no input, you could train for eternity. And that's what we're talking about here. The level of trainers is pathetic. You've got so-called boxing trainers, 30 years in the game, who don't know a lick, who don't know more than a YouTuber, the YB. They just don't. I hate to break, they just don't know it. They don't know, they just don't. Simple as that. I don't care how many fighters you've had or whatever, you still don't know what you're doing. Yeah? Oh, well, he's had Carl Froch. Exactly. Carl Froch is an example of what we're talking about here. Carl Froch didn't change for 15 years. What does that say about the trainer? AJ, again, another one, hasn't changed for 10 years. Hasn't really added any high IQ skills. Name me some. I remember watching AJ doing a video clip of him trying to shoulder roll with Tony Sims 6 years ago. Where's that? Where's the development of that? In my mind, yeah, every fighter should develop every skill. Just like the FIFA games. Every skill should have a ranking out of 10. And every day, or you know what I mean, periodically, you work on each different one over the years, and eventually you end up with a full set. You know what I'm saying? He's 9 out of 10 in this, 10 out of 10 in that, 8 out of 10 in this. You know what I'm saying? That's how it should be. Every fighter should have a little notebook, and you're working on things, ticking off and increasing your scores over time. This whole loosey-goosey approach of just rocking up to the gym and jabbing going backwards, how's it working out for you, Logan? I know you're ecstatic with going 50-50 with an old man and getting mauled. I'm not. That should just never happen. No man with the kind of resources you had and the athleticism you've got should be doing that. Should be not having no inside game. I'm not saying you necessarily should have beat Floyd, but you didn't do anything. You didn't offensively. Logan Paul didn't do anything constructive. I didn't see him put one offensive combination together that was effective. I saw a whole load of slapping. Someone said he looked like he was trying to get wasps off him. And it's true. Exactly what it looked like. That weren't boxing. That was trying to get the wasps off you. The way he was flailing. It was shocking. And to think trainers have sat there and watched that. And it's the thing. These trainers don't have high IQ. It's not their fault. Not everyone can be super intelligent. There's people, well, there's a few, but there's obviously very few, but there's a few darn smarter than me, I'm sure. I ain't seen none of them, but I'm going to assume there is. I'm going to assume there's people smarter than me. Yeah? Maybe one day I'll see a few of them. But what we do know is, there's a whole bag of boxing dons who ain't got a bit, they don't really know what they're doing. Yes, you've been in the gym for 30 years, but what have you been doing in the gym for 30 years? Do you actually know what's important in the sport? Logan Paul's trainers don't, I'm afraid. Because the way they was jumping around and celebrating how he went life and death with an old man and didn't do anything on the inside for 8 rounds, it was shocking. I'd be embarrassed for my fighter to look like that. Slapping away. Just little things like that really, really annoy me. Like your punch technique. What is this? How have we got fighters slapping today? Do you not see the Mike Tyson videos of how to dig a shot? Canelo. That's what I don't get. This isn't the 1920s, yeah, where, oh, you know, we don't really know what a good punch looked like. There is mathematical science of what a good punch looks like. Logan threw none of them. Slapping, low caved in elbow and hitting with the palm of his hand. How long does it take, if you're training 4 hours a day, how long does it take to say, Logan, for the next week we are going to practice digging your elbow and whipping your shoulder and digging your elbow and knuckles in. Every shot you throw, we're going to be a digger. You know, you start off doing that and before you know it, it's habit. But how long does that take? I'll put to you, it don't take long. But again, these people don't know what they don't know. These $1 million trainers. McCrappen doesn't know what he needs to be doing. He just thinks it's not even his fault. Part of it's his IQ and part of it's the culture of the sport. The culture of the sport is you're not valuable on what you know. You're valuable on, oh well, I've been sitting in the gym for 40 years, so I'm an old school. No, you're not old school. Old school are people like Customato. Because guess what? Mike Tyson was digging. Yeah, he weren't even a bit of slapping, and you can see the old tapes of Customato, even at his old age, showing high guard, elbows in, chin down, turning the hook over. I mean, there's even a video on YouTube, yeah, of Customato training Mike Tyson and telling him, listen, your head's coming up when you're hooking. I thought, or something like that. But my point is, he was fine tuning Mike Tyson, fine tuning him. You show me a video of Anthony Joshua being fine tuned. You can't see it because I've watched Anthony Joshua on the bag and he's just slapping away. Yeah, not being horrible, but he is just slapping. Same as Logan Paul. I've seen Logan Paul do exactly what he did against Floyd. Go in there and just left, right, slap, 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 slap. No technique. They ain't fine tuning. Customato, and I'm not being funny here, when Customato critiqued Mike Tyson, I couldn't even see what he was talking about, truth be known. It looked perfect to me. So clearly, Customato, rightfully so, higher IQ done than me in boxing, no doubt. He's proved it. Little things like that. I don't see other dons doing that. They don't know what's right and what's wrong. They got these kids on their bike, on the treadmill, running, doing biking. You guess what? You didn't see Mike Tyson on the bike with Cuss, did you? You didn't see him doing no goofy fruity things on the stepper or whatever else you're doing. Didn't see it. Technique was on point though. Mike Tyson has one of the most perfect techniques, and you owe it to Cuss, because Cuss was fine tuning it to the nth degree, seeing things I can't even see, and even little bits like when Mike Tyson was doing some skipping, and Customato said your mind's not in your work. Now I'm not sure what. Obviously, Mike and Customato have a very high level relationship. I can't even imagine what that kind of relationship was in that sense. Their energies were intertwined. So I can't, me personally, from the outside, and I haven't had any, maybe one day I will, but I haven't had any students as such, so I don't know what it's like, but I'm telling you, them two were intertwined. Their energies were intertwined. And he was telling him, listen, your mind's not in your work. Yeah? And Mike didn't sit there and say, no, what you're talking about is. He kind of just acknowledged it. He knew you know what I'm saying? He knew that, whatever. That there is high level training. You ain't got that today. So don't tell me, oh, well, I've been in the gym. There's a whole bag of old dons, yeah. Been in the gym 40 years. Think that gives them credit. No, it don't. If you don't know what's good, you know what I'm saying? If you're not addressing problems, you can be in the gym for a million years. Don't mean you got any clout. Customato, he knew what was good. And people like Cuss, yeah, I don't use Cuss. Oh, well, you know, he's a famous name. There's a whole bag of famous name dons who got sloppy fighters. I've seen evidence of Cuss picking bits out, fine-tuning it, treating his fighters like machines as such, getting the technique right. There ain't no technique dons today. They're all the slappers for the main. So that's where the state of the sport's at now. There's probably 3 trainers in the world who are rate. And if you went with them 3, you end up like Logan Paul. You end up like AJ. just stagnant, and just moving for 10 years, no real changes. AJ hasn't really changed in 10 years. Still lunging in with the right hand, and still just banging away 4 uppercuts to the same position. None of them landing. Still just chugging away big hooks and no finesse. Like think of when you see AJ step in with a jab and you know what I'm saying, put 2 digs in. You just don't see that. You just don't see it. It's go crazy, bang, 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 or nothing at all, and piddling around on the back foot. There's not that finesse there. That offensive finesse isn't there. I'm afraid people can be mad. Oh, YB, but he's undisputed champion. Well, I don't care what you are. Grabbing belts off a load of bums, which they are today. And that's another thing. I hate to break it to you, man. Becoming undisputed today isn't a big thing. Yeah? For someone as gifted as AJ, becoming undisputed, it's not a big song and dance. For you, man, it might be. For me, it's not. I see the base AJ's been blessed with, and I'm afraid to say again, when you've got that kind of base, it's expected for you to be undisputed. What you thought a man with boobies on his back should even be in the same breath with AJ. You're delusional. I'm afraid to break you. You're delusional. Yeah, you are delusional. If you understand science, yeah, and how it all works out, the fact we've even got AJ and Tyson Fury in the same sentence is because of how bad Rob McCrappen is. Because if I was training AJ, it wouldn't be in the same breath. Because it just wouldn't be. There'd be AJ, and then 3 levels later you talk about the Wilders and the Furies. Because of how bad AJ's training team are, that's why they're all in the mix together. And, oh, well, he lost to Ruiz, and it's all loosey-goosey. Because it is. You can be a 95 out of 100 fighter like AJ is, but when you've got a 10 out of 100 team, it drags you down to the average, which is 40 out of 100. And that's where he finds himself, in the mix with the thick of everyone, in the thicket with everyone. You know what I mean? Going 50-50 with Ruiz, that's why. So, people can be mad, but it's the truth. Oh, he's the gaffer. Well, he's the gaffer. Yeah, the gaffer gets you whooped by Ruiz. That's what the gaffer does. The YB wouldn't. The YB, even on a bad night, Ruiz would have been dealt with, no doubt, 100%. You know what? I'd have sacked myself. How about that? I wouldn't have been hanging around. I'd have said, you know what, AJ? I'm inept at my job. I'm absolutely inept. Rob McCrappen ain't going nowhere. In fact, Rob McCrappen said, AJ, I'm inept, but you know what? I'm going to swan off to the Olympics, and I'm going to miss your fight. That's what I'm going to do. That's what Rob McCrappen said. Yeah? So don't at me about that. But then again, AJ, oh, he's the gaffer. So if the gaffer swans off to the Olympics and leaves you with undisputed fight, then that's on you at this point. Well, I can't keep defending and blaming Rob McCrappen. You've got to take some responsibilities. Oh, what was it? I'm loyal to the soil. Yeah. You'll be going 50-50 with Ruiz to the soil as well if you carry on. But listen, people can be mad hearing it, but it's the truth. No doubt.